All right, we're live. Is the mic good, boys? Good evening. All right, today is a very special day, so we're gonna be doing. I was thinking about what to speak about on day 20 since we have officially been done with 19 days of this bootcamp, and there's no better way but to literally wrap up all the information and just bring all the puzzle pieces together into one video. But instead of just information, this time it's going to be practical. Okay, so what would I do? So this is like literally a step-by-step action plan to not just find a product or what sort of product to find, but also to make the most out of this Q4. Okay, I'm gonna be doing this exact, like these steps. I'm gonna be doing them for my own self. In fact, I'm kind of furious over the fact that I've ordered a product for this Q4. Now we're like 2 weeks into Q4, and this new product has not arrived yet. It's a custom product, so it's taking a bit longer, but it's fine. So I'm just gonna be sharing what did I have to go through to pick my product, the first winner, but also the second new custom product, which I'm expecting hopefully within the next 1 or 2 weeks. I'm gonna be late to the party with the second product, but it's gonna be worth it. I have high hopes with it. So yeah, basically step by step action plan for Q4. And usually everyone would say, 10K a month as the guarantee of that sort of guide. This is not going to be a guide. This is literally all of the information. So shout out to everyone who's been watching since day one and who's been gaining the most out of this, been reaching out. I've been having a lot of support through my Discord and IG, which I really appreciate. Keeps me going forward. Yeah, apparently a lot of people are getting value out of this, so I'm very glad about it. But when I say 10K a month, I'm not like, it's not a guru way of saying it. I'm just saying this is what's most likely going to make you reach that, because just last month was another somewhere around it. I cannot share the numbers, but basically every single thing that took me to these numbers is mostly from failure. So a lot of lessons I'm going to be sharing in this bootcamp on this day today. This is going to be a very long, maybe 50 minutes video of an action plan. So we're going to start with the basics, the mindset, what you should think of, all the way to testing your product, what sort of product to run. This is not going to be a beginner friendly. So if you're new here, you might gain you're going to gain a lot of stuff from this, but if you want to go into the details, okay, every single topic I'm going to talk about today has its separate bootcamp day over the past 19 days. So again, I'm just putting the puzzle pieces together, but then sharing it in a way where you would follow this plan to making the most out of Q4. Okay, so the reason I say it's not a guru way of saying it, the 10K a month, is because what I've noticed is, especially if you want to go with a branded route instead of the pump and dump, this year we've seen a lot of immoral ways of running products, especially the pump and dump. Fortunately, we are not on that side. Honestly, it's a very infamous side of dropshipping. I wouldn't even be proud if I were to run pump and dump products like that. Kind of surprises me that there's a lot of people who, talk about it openly, and like they have communities about it. I'm talking about the unethical way of marketing. It's really, it's not it, boys, okay? I think there's a lot of people who are getting into trouble for it as well, for a good reason, okay? So we're not doing that. We're doing the branded way, And what I've noticed through Branded Way is for you to reach this number per month, it's often a lot of ups and downs. So it's not like the usual way of people showing it to you. So it's not like this. In fact, it's going to be depending on your product and depending on your skill sets. There's a lot of factors which are going to play a role here, but let's say, I mean, for the most part with any sort of product, usually the start is the hardest part of it. So the rock bottom like part of any product is not getting any sales because you're still trying to go viral. You don't have a website yet, or you're trying to figure out why you're not converting from your views. Now, obviously with more experience, you're gonna find a solution for these questions quicker, and that speed is gonna make you optimize these opportunities and make the most out of them. So just for the sake of this, we could say that for the longest time it's gonna be like this, and then you're gonna see a big spike. So this is where you make a lot of money because you went viral once. Maybe you go back down, and then you go back up, and then slowly up. Okay. Now, so here would be 10K, for example. But for you to reach this 10K flashy number, it would actually take you a lot of separate months of ups and downs until you reach that number. So I want you to keep that in mind. However, Q4 is your best bet to actually hit that number. So that's why we're making this step-by-step action plan. And what would be the first thing you need to know? First thing you need to know is two things, okay? We've spoken a lot about mindset in the past, but the most important things which I need to share with you guys on this day are the following. One, you don't want to do not tie your emotions or performance. I'm gonna put it this way, mood, okay? So don't be moody or low frequency based on your daily income. This is one of the biggest lessons, and I'm sure a lot of people have shared the same lesson from their experience. This is a very real thing, especially when you start seeing some results from your first winner or literally any sort of product. So if you ever ran a product and you made, even if it was one sale, you're gonna experience this. So you would feel like you're on top of the world, regardless of what the number is, okay? You could be making like one sale, and then since it has never been done before, you're gonna feel, you know, on top of the world. And then the next day or the next week, you don't get a sale, and then you feel like you wanna quit. So one thing which you need to remember when you're taking this action plan for this Q4 is do not slow yourself down based off your daily income, okay? There's a lot of factors which you can control, but then another factors which you cannot control. So if you have all of the backend things in place, all of the systems, you know, for example, abandoned checkout, email marketing, you know, you have a good checkout page, because trust me, I've experienced a lot of backend problems, especially when Shopify payments is not supported in your country. You're gonna know what I mean. If you have all the backend things done, like they're good, and then you have the front end, so the website, the Instagram page, I've spoken about these in the past. If you have these settled and they are optimized for bringing in sales, for example, you're using Shrine theme, or by the way, one note about the themes, if you have not made over 10K rev, I don't think you need Shrine. It's a very overspoken about theme. It's one of the best. I'm using it myself, but I want you to be, you know, confident that you could actually hit multiple numbers of revenue without spending money. You could start with the free ones, but then even the, I think there's AI ones right now which do it for free. But then this will take us to the next point, is reinvestment. So for us to make the most out of Q4, we actually need to be adopting speed, we need urgency, and with urgency comes costs. So if you want to order more products, okay, because you're trying to be quick with testing more products, you're gonna have to reinvest a lot of well, it depends on what products you're running, but you're gonna have to spend some money on new products, maybe better props, better background, better lighting, and so on. So, or like SIM cards for marketing, you name it. So it's really important, and I'm linking this to the theme part, is because I wouldn't put it on my top priority. Obviously, it's gonna increase your CVR, but you could perform well without it at the start. Because if you had like a budget of $500, I would put it primarily into products. And then after products, what would I put it into? SIM cards. What else? Lightings. Props. And this, yeah, this is like the most important things which I would spend money on if I were to start from scratch and I had a budget. But then obviously the bigger your budget is, the more you could invest. And it's really important to note this, because I don't want you to spend money on the wrong things and then you don't have a good product and then you miss out. And obviously, honestly, speed deserves its own factor. So a better way of saying speed is urgency. You need to understand that this is actually the best time to make something out of ecom. And the problem is, here's the problem. I'm gonna be real. So if you want to build a brand, you're better off running a very trendy / saturated product. Okay, so we could do it two ways. I'm gonna mention first the better one, in my opinion. This considering you have no product right now and you want to make sure you optimize the next 2 months. By the way, if your primary objective is to get orders for Christmas, then realistically speaking, we have like 47 days to get orders, because December is like known for, it's tough to ship out products. I mean, you could maybe get orders up to 10th of December, maybe max 15th of December, because otherwise, if people are ordering for Christmas and then it doesn't arrive, it's gonna bring some problems. So yeah, we have like over 2 months maybe. That's why we need to be urgent about it. So in this case, what would we do? I lost a factor which I wanted to say, a thought. So we need to be urgent because we need to get the product, obviously. I think it's about the marketing. The thing is, okay. This is live, so it's literally raw. I'm gonna lose a thought here and there, it's fine. What I was linking urgency to is the saturation. So what sort of products to go for? So obviously the stimulus is urgency, right? The solution is action. So you might be wondering what sort of product to go for right now. I have made you understand that we don't have much time if you want to make the most out of Q4, because we've literally entered Q4. We're 2 weeks into it. So what sort of products to go for? You can go for saturated products, which are proven to work. By proven, I mean they have already been viral and been shown in case studies over the past years. There's a lot of products. You could literally, one hack you could do, go to YouTube, type in case studies, watch like 10, 20 case studies. If you find 2 of them where they reveal the product and you could change the angle to Christmas, then you have a new winner. Okay, that's logically speaking. This is literally on top of my head, and I'm sure this will work because we've seen it work with different products. One thing you need to keep in mind though is preferably it needs to align with our concept or our category. So the primary function, or like the primary element of that category, was flexibility with marketing. All right. So what do I mean by this? If you can find a product which can be marketed through 3 or 4 or infinite ways of marketing, then it's more likely to be a good product to, change the angle of, even though it's saturated. One example is, which I like to mention all the time because it's literally one of the most proven products to work, the projector. This has become one of the most saturated products in ecom. Like even big brands, like the biggest ecom brands in the world, sell it. You would find this on Temu, for example, for free, I think. So although like all of these big brands, they sell it, or these big platforms, they sell it, you see dropshippers selling this till this day, primarily because they are going for a very new way of marketing, which is, whether it's for reading, whether it's for spending Christmas nights, or whatever it was. Okay, you gotta be creative with it. So that's the first sort of product you could go for, which is saturated product with proven concept, which preferably has a flexibility in being marketed in a different angle. And then, if you know, the second option is custom product. So this is one which is I'm going for, but the problem with it is time consuming. And realistically speaking, you don't have more than this month to basically find a product and order it. Because if, let's say you receive your product mid-November, and then you don't have good accounts, you don't have good, you don't go viral in a matter of a few days or a week, then it's going to be harder for you to catch up. So preferably if you want to go for the second sort of product, then go for it during this month. Order something which requires a longer time of shipping, meaning it's from Alibaba. Okay, so obviously the saturated products, as I've mentioned before, they're most likely found on every platform, so you could receive them the next day. But custom products have this one bad thing about them, is they take time to receive them. Yeah, so which one's gonna have a higher chance of working? It's really gonna be tough to know, but this is what you need to know. Okay, you need to have multiple products. That way you could find it for yourself. So if you were to run both proven concepts, proven products, plus custom products, then you can test both during this Q4 and then see for yourself which one would do better for you. Because the bottom line is, there's a few saturated products, maybe 1 in 20 products, which might actually outperform any brand you might see, primarily because of their marketing, I'm gonna be honest. But with this being said, yeah, it's not stable. Oftentimes it's gonna be just pump. You get, let's say, 50K this Q4, and then you dump it, and then you have to, build something off the ground. So if there's any questions, please let me know. Okay, I'm reading questions. Yo, Jokern. Speed, violence, momentum. Is that a terminology for it? Yeah, I'm reading chat every now and then, don't worry. Let me see. I mean, reinvesting is important, but I would put this later along the line. Maybe here. It should be after stimulus, right? Is that what you meant? I agree with you. Urgency could arguably be the most important one, but it's the same. Like, you get the point. You need to be urgent, okay? And then you need to reinvest. So I'm even gonna be talking about what sort of things to get in terms of importance. What was your other question? Yeah, so I'm aiming for more than double of last month, this Q4. So hopefully, I'm gonna be sharing the results this Q4. Don't worry. But yeah, once we find the products, what's the next point? Once again, I highly recommend you go for a combination of both custom products and pump and dump products. You might be wondering, like, should I go for advent calendar? Personally, I feel like there's a lot of them, and they go under the category which I don't like, which is having a fixed angle. So if you run them, they have to be for Christmas, otherwise they're not gonna work. So you could test it for the next 2 months, but it shouldn't be your main product. Okay, you should have like at least 3 products. So pick, where are we now? We're number 5. Pick 3 to 5 products, 1 main, custom, max 2, and then rest is okay. Usually I wouldn't go for many products, but this is considering you don't have any product. You're trying to find a new winner ASAP. We're technically doing the XP farming. If you know, you know. Basically, failing as much as possible till something sticks, and then you could make more with it. So that's pretty much what we're doing here. If we had to set a deadline of 2 months to make something out of this Q4, then this is the way to test as many products, but with a proven concept, or at least by following the criteria to make sure that, you know, one of them will pay off. So I'm not gonna put all of the list in one table. I'm gonna break it down further in another page, but hopefully you get the first point, which is the mindset is here. First 2 points, and then we get the products. Next thing I want to talk about is the props. Okay, this is like a speed run. I'm trying to speed run everything. So what would I invest into? Firstly, you need a tree. Okay. Secondly, you need at least one light plus phone holder. So you could get the ring light, for example, or a diffuse light. I wouldn't recommend the chest support sort of tripod. That one's very shaky. And SIM cards. I think that's pretty much it. Obviously, maybe wrap papers, both for your table, so maybe wooden for the table, plus gift wrap. What else? I'm trying my best not to say the 3D background. If you know, you know. The spiky one, I would not go for it. It really depends on your product. This pad, I wouldn't recommend it. I would say go for emotion products, or maybe something that has to do with value or emotion. Okay, don't go for things which are based off purely wow factor. So we're gonna remove that, and I'm trying to be as real as possible during this video. Yeah, so primarily these. So if I were to add anything, maybe candles, plants. Okay, actually no need for plants since we have the tree. So yeah, primarily these. It's gonna be subject to change, obviously, depending on your product, but these are the most important. So this is the reinvestment department. Okay. So now we got this one, we got the product. Where's the product? I'm gonna try to put them all separately so we can have a better picture of what we're talking about here. So that's 2, and then this is 3. All right. Next thing. So I wouldn't wait 14 days. Let's say you want to go for a custom product, which is a good idea. Okay, it's always good to go for a main product because the brandable product is going to be the custom one, right? So for that reason, you need to find and order pump. Okay, I'm gonna put this note. Okay, you don't want to go for any pump and dump product. You want to go for products which follows the criteria which I've made on day 14. I think you're gonna have to look into the bootcamp, but they strictly need to follow the criteria. So we're not going for any sort of pump and dump products. The main reason we're doing this is because we need to receive them while we're waiting for the other products. And then order. You could go for either by custom I mean either the Lego products, there's plenty of them, preferably ones for couples, for example, or something like that. You could go for ultrasound Legos. There's just an example, by the way. There's a lot of custom products out there, but that one is like proven to work. So yeah, expect 14 plus days for the custom product. What's next? Okay. Account. This is very important. This is actually one of the most important ones. So by now, hopefully, let's say you have at least 2 products in mind, which will follow the criteria which I've shared before. You order them. Now you need to set up the accounts. Really important. So you might have to also order the SIM card if you don't have one, but my honest opinion is if you live, even if it was in the EU, okay, wherever it was, you could market locally. You don't have to sell to the US. Trust me. This is one thing which a lot of people talk about, and I think it was primarily just to mislead you. When I first started 2.5 years ago, 3 years, everyone was talking about US marketing. The bottom line is, if you could take a saturated product from a very saturated market to an unsaturated market, you will print. Okay, so as long as you have a good market you could reach out to, then you're good to go. So how do we set up accounts? Okay, so if you want, you could go for the SIM card just for TikTok. So if you've watched this before, you will know what I mean here. And then IG would be for local marketing. So if you are living in EU, it's actually good enough. So UK, Germany is perfect for bringing sales. And then other markets which nobody talks about are Australia, which is really good. What other countries? I feel like even I don't know how good South I mean, the Spanish countries are also good. But they're like in the same category as EU. You have also North America. Yeah, list goes on. I'm gonna keep this open for, because I don't want to give you recommendations, because I'm just trying to say that if you live somewhere and you think that you are missing out because of your location, you need to think about the positive side of it, which is you could actually be optimizing or capitalizing on the fact that you are in an untapped market. And if you want US market, then you could get a SIM card, but then try at least to market to your local region. If you have multiple phones, you could do it, one for US and then the other for local market, and then you could see test A/B test. Okay, so let's say we get, this was just for the reach. So for the targeting, next would be creating the accounts. So once you create the social media accounts, you need to give them, depends on your product, okay? If you are waiting for the custom product, more time is better, okay? You could spend 2 weeks preparing, but honestly, that's way too much. 3 days is more than enough. So 3 to 5 days is more than enough. What else? 3 to 5 days. What would you do during these days? I'm just brain dumping everything I know in this video. Okay. So the primary objective of the theme page is to go viral within your niche. So let's say you have ordered a product from Amazon, since you found pump and dump products which meets the criteria, and then you order the custom products. So instead of waiting 14 days for the custom product, no, create accounts for your custom product and your pump and dump product. Start with the pump and dump. It's more important since you can take action now with it. So once you create the account, warm it up for a minimum of 2 days, prepare the background during this time, receive the product from Amazon, and then you're good to go. One thing you need to, we're gonna hop onto now is content. Try to create content every day. So we're not gonna go for any sort of split testing, or, I mean, if your product could run stitching videos, which I usually don't recommend, especially since I do branded. Branded rarely uses stitches video, but yeah, I recommend go for new content every day, and this will make a lot of sense with our action plan. So if we're going for, where is it? The wrap paper, then yeah, that's perfect. We could create unboxing videos every single day. Let's say we go for advent calendars. I mean, I would recommend you go for something that has a lot of value, at least if it was one side product, just to see how it works. So every day just create a new video, and that way you could see what works better, and then you could double down. So the reason we do this is to improve content on daily basis, and then so every day you see your data, whatever worked better, double down on it. So everyone talks about TikTok and IG. Nobody talks about YouTube, for example, Snapchat. I mean, a lot of people talk about YouTube, but not in the sense of a long-term perspective where you go for 100k subs and get your play button, etc. Instead, they just talk about IG, TikTok. I get it, but there's actually a good amount of sales I'm getting just from Snapchat, for example. I have a big page there. So untapped ones are Snapchat, you have Facebook, and I'll keep YouTube on a separate note because I want to give you the plan for it. But primarily Snapchat and Facebook. Then YouTube is down here. Here's a plan for YouTube Shorts. I'm gonna be probably sharing this after this video. What do you guys think? Yeah, I'm literally just speed running this, making the quickest like guide step by step. Yo, what's up, Crunchy? Bro, I miss WoW, by the way. I was thinking, so I'm gonna just lock in until when's Midnight coming out? I think it's coming out in 8 months. I'm actually gonna 100% play it. So just gotta build brands for now until 8 months later. Maybe I'll do like 2 or 3 ecom streams and then maybe 1 for WoW just to chill for like an hour and then get back to work. But yeah, because like I was literally asking myself yesterday, like when's the last time I just sat down and chilled? I promise you guys, I never do that anymore. So, because I'll tell you why. Because I tried last year to do a balance, you know, work-life balance. Trust me, that doesn't exist. It's a very big trap. So if I were to play WoW, I would need to play it casually, not competitively like I did before. So back to the topic here, plan for YouTube Shorts. You don't want to look at it as short term. If you look at it short term, you're most likely gonna quit. You're gonna focus on IG and TikTok instead. So this is bad. Let's do it this way. So we don't want to look at it as short term, instead long term, which is by doing the content on YouTube is slightly different from other platforms, but it's going to be different for products to products. The thing is, if you're running like stitching videos, they perform so well on YouTube, but that era is gone. Now we are more about, you know, origin content. Like I've literally seen it all this year. So June, July, I think that was the peak, or maybe it was April. All the way from like March till July, that was like the downfall of dropshipping in terms of marketing, because everyone was going for the stitching videos. But surprisingly, they were going super viral, especially on YouTube and TikTok. So no, you want to look at it as long term, because honestly the other ones don't perform well in terms of CVR. So there's a lot of examples. I think you can find them on YouTube where they share their experience. They get like 1 million subs, no sales. So think about it this way. Whatever content you're creating for TikTok and IG, try to optimize the quality of it. If the quality is on point, that means you could most likely go viral on YouTube, and that's just free subs. Also, when you don't split test on YouTube, so one thing which a lot of people have done before was they find one video which performs so well, then they would literally just duplicate it and repost it. Exactly the same thing, same caption, same thumbnail, everything. And then they hit like 100K or 1 mil, and then they don't get like the play button. Why? Because repetitive content, spamming. Instead, try different formats. So act normally, okay? Post your normal content on your primary platforms, but focus on work on different formats. Do not duplicate content. Okay, so you don't want to duplicate content. Instead, you want to split test what worked before, but then create new content. And then preferably add in more formats so that it looks like you have different, you know, ideas or video storylines or whatever. That way, once you hit 100k subs, eventually, you're gonna get something out of it. So you get your play button and then you get your monetization. That's pretty much it about YouTube. If I were to talk about a specific product, it would be way easier to tell you about how to market it, but I want you to look at it long term. So I have a few pages, over 15k subs right now on YouTube, just from posting shorts or reposting from my IG and TikTok. Okay, so we have, let's see what we've done so far. So we have found a product. We have found at least one custom product. Maybe I should go further into how I found it, okay? So here, the main product, right? Because like picking the 3 to 5 products are easy. You can just find them by going through your burn account. Maybe an hour a day, you're gonna find at least 1 or 2 really viral pump and dump products. But then for the custom product, you're better off doing the boring way. And I highly recommend you look at my day 19. That was about the suppliers. It was slightly talking about finding the, you know, products. So a lot of people talk about AliExpress method. No, this is gonna be Alibaba method, okay? I prefer this platform way more than the others because you could actually reach out to the main platforms or the main factories and you could negotiate. So if you have experience, you could tell them your numbers, they will start cooperating more with you, and eventually you could just, you know, build a genuine brand. So this is not your typical way of finding products, but preferably do it. So you get lower prices, you'll get higher customizability. A lot of people think that Alibaba is only 10 MOQ. They've actually eased down how they work. Back in the days, it was more like, you know, 20 MOQ. Nowadays, it's actually becoming like 1 MOQ sort of platform. So you get lower prices, more customizability, and even more transparency. That's the one thing which I don't like about working with platforms which sources the product for me. If I was doing pump and dump, sure, but if you want to run a product for the next year, 2 years, 5 years, might as well speak with the main guy who's designing the product for you. So go for this. And I wouldn't recommend finding the product from Alibaba. Instead, what you could do is look for products which has performed in the past and then find a variant of it which is similar but better. I'll give you a quick example on top of my head. The carpets. So you could find one which was for Harry Potter on TikTok. Let's say you saw it just now. You'd be like, okay, maybe I can find an untapped niche for the same product on Alibaba. So you would go there, 20 minutes scrolling, you'll find a new niche for Star Wars. It's a very like simple example, but you get the point. Another way of thinking about it is, let's say you find the prototype one. We've seen this a lot, especially with like the orbs. So you see a product which is going a lot of, like it's going viral on social media, but then you wonder if there's a better variant of it. So you scroll a bit on Alibaba, you find a better version, prototype 2, and then you order it and run it. So it has to be following a proven concept though. Okay, so that's how you find your custom products. Obviously you can go for the other, you know, sourcing platforms, but this is the main. So now that we have set up our accounts, we are ready to post, we are ready to create content. So this is the action time. This is where we need to start putting in more input. So the higher the input, the higher the outcome, okay? Again, one thing which you're gonna experience through this time, when you start, like, all of this, the upper side here, this entire part was preparing for this one moment, which is taking action. Because this is your daily thing. Once you have set up everything up there, that's where you start focusing on your marketing, your content, your quality, because this is what's gonna actually directly correlate with your income. So yeah, you start creating content, you focus on better hand movements, better lighting, and one way to do that is actually by watching the numbers. So let's say you post 3 times yesterday, you sleep, you wake up, you see which one performed the best, and then you can recreate it or do something to it which can be better. In other words, split test it. So the higher the input, the higher the outcome, and this is totally under your control. That's the beauty of it. You actually have control over your income, because the more content you create, the more formats you test, the higher chance you have to go viral. So that's about it. Strive for 1% better every day. Now the website part is a bit tricky. If you are going for a branded product, the website is going to play a big role. So that's actually the next thing I want to talk about. Let's see if there's anything else about the content here. So let's say we go for an advent calendar. You need bright. It really depends on the product, right? If you want to go for a product which has to do with maybe female, like mothers who want to buy this advent calendar for their son, then try to go for brighter colors. Obviously the Christmas tree on the right or left, and just maybe a candle or something. Try to make it look pleasing to the eye and simple, honestly. And yeah, the hand movements, it's really important. It really depends on the product, but one way to do is look for viral content and then replicate their movements and even positioning of their props. All right? So you don't want to be reinventing the wheel. You want to be watching what other people have done before you, even if it was a different niche, right? So let's say we go for the orb, okay? Or actually, I've given you an example here, so we're going to mention it again. We're going to talk about the lamp, the projector, sorry. So this is a projector. We've seen it before go viral for gaming. So you could share screen or like make it look like a TV while you game. Now you want to do it for a separate or like a different niche for Christmas. So literally the hook is going to be identical in a way to the gaming one. And then the lighting. Now the lighting is obviously going to be different for Christmas. So you're going to have the lights of the Christmas tree, but you get a point. You want to have maybe the same hand movement when you start the video, the same angle of the camera, and so on. So just try to run or like have a plan. Basically, this is creating a plan. The reason this is important: replicate their movements. This provides you with a blueprint. Once you find content which has gone viral, you can just copy them, and that way you're not going to be lost when you're creating. I'm going to have to highlight this. Yeah. And then obviously create content every day. Now we move to the website. Alright, so for the website, again, you don't have to pay off the bat. So if you're just starting now, I would rather put my budget through like other props or other equipment. For the website, I would go for something free. I've actually seen some really good AI website. You could also go for motion. What else? I'm just gonna give you like based off what I've tested in the past and what I've seen. I can tell you for a fact I've made more than 15 to 20k using this motion 2.0. So this one right here is proven to work. Okay. And then I was surprised recently that this AI website builder is actually really good. It looks similar to Shrine, but it's like more beginner friendly. Obviously the final boss is Shrine, hands down. It's way too good. One thing which you need to understand is with the website, it's an ongoing thing, especially if you're trying to build a brand. One way to look like a brand is to have a lot of products. So for example, let's say you're selling the orb. Let's try to find a different product. Okay, let's say you're selling a carpet, okay? And then you want to make it for anime. This way you could, when you're trying to scale and try to make it look like a brand, you could try to find different carpets for different animes, okay? Or different characters of the same anime. So that way you could have maybe 20 different products. And what this is gonna do is not only is gonna be making your website look more sophisticated, it's gonna make your website have more sales as well, because you can upsell. So whenever they go to, like, let's say they click on one of the products, there's a table where you could select 2 or 4, whatever. And this provides them with more options. So it's the same concept as, you know, it's a psychology thing. When they are offered one thing, the main thing they want to think about is, should I buy it or not? If they are offered, on the other hand, if they're offered 2 things, instead of thinking, should I buy it? They're going to be thinking, should I get product A or product B? So that's why I think it's better to go for a lot of products. And honestly, it just makes your website look more appealing. So go for more products. General store is not recommended. Try to go for niche specific website. And yeah, if that's the case, if you have a lot of products, then this is gonna apply to you, which is an ongoing improvement. But instead of being daily, it could be daily or weekly. So just like you strive to get better by 1% every day with the content, you're gonna try to do the same with the website, because you're gonna have to deal with this once you start going viral. You're gonna wonder, why is my CVR very low? It could be your offer, it could be your images, which is another thing which I could talk about here, but then the video could be way too long by then. Holy moly, this is 1 hour long so far. Okay. Yeah, it's a 1 hour video. This might be like an A to Z guide by now. So, as I was saying, you could improve the images by using AI, and that way you're gonna look more like a brand. You're gonna just outcompete every other person in your market without even spending a penny. So you could improve the offers, the images, what's it called, the moving banners, I think FOMO is like one of the best ways to increase your CVR. So you could add maybe low stock or some timers. There's a lot of ways to increase your CVR, but one thing which nobody talks about is this. It's really important. And it's completely free. Like, you could find alternatives, which I've shared in my AI bootcamp, where you could do it for free. So now we have gotten our website. We're posting 2 times a day. I'm gonna even break it further. So we're gonna post at 1080p, 60 FPS, and we're gonna record. So you wanna record on your phone and export from your CapCut at 1080p, 60 FPS, and then no HDR. One thing also I've noticed is if you find the need for you to change the shadows or the adjustments of your video through CapCut, that most likely means that your lightings were not good. This is one thing which I've learned recently, because I've improved my lighting so much to the point where I don't even need to play with the settings of like the video adjustments. So preferably no adjustments. If you want to do so, then go for, I think it's called, what's it called? Let me see. Is it HUE? Let me see. It's for the colors, the saturation. HSL. So HSL is powerful. You could go for HSL or the graph. Now the graph is gonna lower the quality from experience. Primarily HSL, honestly. If I wanna change something, it's HSL. Only go for alright. Okay, so we have broken down how many times to post, the settings, the website. Okay, I guess the final boss now is to go viral, but the way you go viral is to daily market research. So what this is gonna do is gonna help you to find more ideas to replicate, but also more products to run, because you wanna try to test as many products as possible. So this is really important. So daily market research and product research, at least 1 hour or 30-60. Find top competitors. So you want to preferably, competition is good. Let me start by saying that. If you have like 2 really insane or big competitors, that means they're making money, so you can make money too. So that means you could just check their content, whatever that went viral for them, you could replicate it and improve on it. That's gonna increase your chance of going viral. So replicate competitors viral content, split test it, change angle, preferably these. So this is gonna increase your chance of going viral. So this is going to be under the viral method. So how to go viral, new ideas, and then you replicate them. Hopefully I covered everything here. This was a very in-depth video, more than I thought. Okay. Yo, I swear it was good. Yeah, this was supposed to be like a 40-minute video, but we're like 1 hour in. I'm trying to see if there's anything missing before we call it. But yeah, this is like as transparent as I can get. I have broken down the 20 days of this bootcamp into this action plan. And this is important because if you've been watching all of the past 19 days, you could just revise everything into one plan. Because, like, let's be real, you need a plan to perform. So this is how I would do it. And I'm hoping you have like a few products already, because if you do so, then you could just change the angle for Christmas and then start from now while looking for a main product, which is a custom product. Yeah. I mean, let's talk about the last thing. What to do after going viral. Monetizing views. So this is actually the hardest, or like the most annoying part, because this is where you're gonna find out whether you have good accounts or bad accounts. Monetizing views. This could be either the good day or the bad day, okay? Again, no emotion towards the outcome, first of all, okay? If you go viral and you don't make sales, don't be crushed, because it might just be your content. Maybe it's the lack of call to action. So analyze. Let's start by saying if it doesn't convert. Okay, so if it doesn't convert, analyze the content, improve. Okay, so it could be lack of call to action, could be the music choice, believe it or not, even the video idea. So video idea, music, even the comments. If you have a lot of negative comments, they're most likely gonna affect your CVR. But then it might just be a bad sign of you running the product in the first place. Or it might be just the angle that you're going for, which is not performing well. So these are some things which you can improve. Now, on the other hand, if it works, I want to give you a disclaimer though. For going viral, this is my cat, by the way. Anyway, if you go viral and you make, let's say, $500 from that viral video, and you still feel crushed because you are being told that, you know, a viral video should always make you a minimum of like 2K per million views, then unfortunately that's not true. There's a lot of factors which plays a big role into how much you make per million views. So nowadays I don't even think about how much money I make per million view. I just strive to going more viral with proven concepts which are made to convert. Because trust me, I've generated more than 250 million views, and I know what will convert and what won't convert, okay? Controversy is the easiest to go viral with, but the conversion rate is the lowest. So you might want to start with controversy and then switch to salesy or like top quality sort of content. Maybe like you need to add some salesiness. That's the bottom line. You need to make it clear that you are the one selling it. One way to do that is to have abundance of the product. This is something which I've seen a lot. Like this is a pattern which I've noticed over time. And one way to do that is to have multiple boxes. So if you know Fun Punch, for example, you will know what I mean here. So they've had a lot of viral content, I think last Christmas, where they had like tens of boxes in the background, and that just display them as the seller instead of just a marketer. So keep that in mind. So if it works, even if it was as low as $200 or $100 for a viral video, which is, I don't want to say bad, okay, it depends. But let's say you get like 1 million views, no sales, then that's a very bad sign, okay? I'll tell you that. So if it works, let's say you make 500 per million views, this is bare minimum, then split test, which means repeat the exact same concept, but better. Okay. And then sometimes you might want to repost. So maybe once every 2 weeks, you could repost if the content is like hands down the best content you've ever seen. If it's not good, I would not recommend to repost it. So reposting is an exception in case no new content is available. Okay, this is just an exception, like the last resort. So I'm gonna leave it for later actually. So if it works, split test, double down. So you don't want to wait. If you go viral, you actually want to double down the content by either, again, split testing it, but by creating it again. So you don't want to duplicate the content and then change text or music. Instead, you want to literally recreate the entire video, but with better lighting or whatever. So record and post more. And one thing which I did not, like I underestimated, was the comments and the DMs. Answer the comments plus DMs, preferably having a bot. So I've seen a lot of people who use a bot to comment or like DM people after they say a certain word. I've not tried it myself, but maybe I should try. Maybe I should try. Because honestly, I could imagine how good it would be. It takes some time, like at least an hour a day, just to answer comments and DMs. But I was surprised because at first I thought it wouldn't perform, like CVR wise. I didn't think it would do that well, especially when you are reaching poor quality leads, which I have. I have like 40% poor quality and then 60% really insane good quality leads. So just answer DMs. And yeah, it's gonna increase your CVR. What else? And then yeah, obviously repost. And then I guess we could just say here reinvest. So this is really important. I said I guess because I've already mentioned it up there, but we could say it again. So reinvest into photo shoot, maybe like better version of your product. So create a separate product for yourself from the same supplier, so improve on it and so on, and then scale. All right, so I've covered, I think we're safe to say we've covered most of the things, boys. How successful are you with dropshipping, if I may ask? Yeah, so since day one of me making this channel, I did not create this in a way that I'm a guru. Instead, I'm actually sharing my experience. So this bootcamp is literally just sharing everything I know for free. No courses, nothing. Meaning, I'm not there yet, okay? I found my first winner. I've made over, my goal is 6 figures. I'm getting there, okay? I'm getting there. But hopefully this Q4 is going to be good for all of us. So we'll see how it's going to unveil. But I want this to be very clear. I'm not coming from a position where I'm better than anyone. I'm just sharing my experience, building a community. Because one thing which I've noticed is finding the right people, the environment, which I've mentioned a lot in the past, is one of the most important things. So finding people who could answer one question. So let's say you have a community of 20 people, and not only would they make you more motivated to perform, so let's say one of them makes 1K a day, you're gonna feel like, okay, there's like positive energy. It's more like competitiveness. It's the same reason why people live, like, let's say people are doing e-com, so they move out and they live together because they're gonna push each other every single day. So it's that sort of energy which I want to make. So I want to create this environment, this community where we're all pushing each other. And yeah, I've just recently found my first winner, which is like over a year ago. We are improving every day. So I'll check your videos. You seem like a genuine guy. Thank you, bro. I mean, once you see my videos, you're gonna know what I mean. Yo, Durga was good, bro. So yeah, I've went so far into this. This is like a 1 hour plus video, which the last time I've done this was on my very first video where I've broken down everything. So it would be interesting actually for someone to watch my first video versus this one, because I've literally just broken down everything A to Z over again. But this time, I think it's 3 months forward from the last video which I've made. So once again, I'm improving every day. So we are striving for better every day. That's how we should think. And I've learned a lot over the past 3 months. I've learned a lot. So yeah, I'm just sharing what I know. And I'm not gonna lie, my affiliates, I teach them a lot. They teach me a lot. So I've actually like given credit to one of my affiliates. He's very smart. He's given me like one feedback about my website, which actually helped me a lot. So it's this sort of energy which I'm looking for. We just help each other out. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going for. Yo, Rudy. Yeah, bro, a lot can change, man. When you quit WoW, what can I say? A lot can change. With this being said, though, I might test it here and there. Like, I wanted to, how do I say this? Like, I've been going hard on ecom, especially on for my Twitch followers. So I kind of want to break the ice like once, maybe like a 1 hour stream of different things, because I don't have off time. I'm constantly like thinking or acting on this. So I think maybe 1 hour, 2 hours stream would not hurt. But this is gonna be for midnight, which is like in 8 months, the expansion. So yeah, hopefully by then we're gonna be multi 6-figure. So yeah, boys, hopefully you learned something from this. I've always wanted to get into this, didn't know where to start as well, as didn't want to pay any courses because most of them are BS. Totally agree. Here's the thing which I'm gonna tell you, okay? I have not spent a penny for courses. So I've actually started 3 years ago. You could say that I've taken the hard route, but yeah, it took me 3 years to be as comfortable as I am right now to talk about this. So it's not like an overnight thing, and I've failed a lot. The one thing which you need to understand in this on day 20, so the more products you test, actually the more successful you're gonna feel like. The more failed products you get, the more success you're gonna the closer you're gonna get to success, trust me. Because a lot of the experiences I have are actually from especially products which I've gone viral with and did not convert. That's where the most like sauce comes from, but also like from the wins, obviously. And then I think the other thing which I would do is be an affiliate for someone who knows better than me. That's like the best way, hands down, to learn and skip like the trial. Maybe one day, Rudy. We'll see. You mean getting someone to do the work for me, or what do you mean? I mean, in terms of scaling with ecom, I feel like the only things which we could scale with is getting maybe VAs, virtual assistants, customer support. I mean, now AI can do customer support, customer affiliates, obviously. And then the rest of the scaling is done through Facebook ads, and I've seen a lot of people do Facebook ads recently, like organic guys. So might be looking into it this Q4, we'll see. Alright guys, so this was a long stream. Hopefully you guys learned something, and I've tried to share as much as possible. I might literally just copy paste this into a doc, and then I'll attach it to this video, because I've literally just broken down like a step by step. action plan for this Q4. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on day 21. Peace out, boys. Yo, Santiago. Yeah, a bit too late. A bit too late. Do you cover the startup course and interview? Yes, we have one video for the equipment. Bro, this bootcamp is for you. Literally, I've made this bootcamp. I'll tell you why I made it. Because I'm streaming on Twitch, and I have a bunch of people watching me. Because I've been streaming in the past. So I have like 6k like followers who might, you know, from now and then they might watch me and they will be like, who's this guy? Like, what is he doing? So I had to make this bootcamp to break everything down so that whoever is interested would actually just watch through this bootcamp, learn it for themselves, get started, and then get to talk to us more and get into the community. So this is like an introduction to anyone to get started. And yes, we have a video for the equipment and the like how to get started basically. So yeah, I gotta go. Peace out, boys. We'll see you on probably tomorrow. I'll be streaming again. All right, good night.